Hello everybody and welcome to another video here at Playing Board Games. I'm Justin, and while I'm not playing board games right now, I am talking about board games, but I think that that would not be a great name for a channel. So, you guys have requested that I compare, after finishing the core comparisons of comparing the revised core with the 2026 core, that I do the same with the starter decks. Compare Tommy, Harvey, Winnie, the Mystic is Jacqueline, and then Stella to Tommy, Carolyn, Andre, Marie, and Miguel. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to compare all of these decks following the same thing from the core comparison videos, and it should be a good time. The Nathaniel Cho deck is retrospective, and the Tommy Muldoon one is kind of looking towards the future to see how I think these cards are going to perform, specifically in a Chapter 2 environment, because I think Legacy is its own beast, and while I'll be talking about Legacy eventually with these kind of cards, right now I'm kind of looking at if someone came into ARKHAM when this came out in 2019, and then bought this Nat Cho deck, how much impact would it have had on their collection in the long term? Same with this Tommy Muldoon deck. What is the impact that this deck would have had in the long term if someone buys it for getting into Chapter 2 and they continue to play it for the rest of the time that they play Chapter 2? So we're kind of looking at it from that perspective, less in Legacy. So while there might be a card in here that works really well with some investigator from Chapter 1, they're not going to really be too much of my analysis here. I'm kind of looking at the card in a vacuum and how impactful it's going to be. And the opposite is kind of true for this, because this one is retrospective and this one is like looking forward. So just keep that in mind as we go through and talk about these. For our tiers, we have Space Waster. This is a card that just takes up space in the binder and will unlikely actually come out of the binder. Or it can come out so rarely that it might as well just always live in the slot, in the slot that is in your binder. Fine are cards that are exactly that. They're fine. They're not great. They're not awful. They're not like unplayable, but they are. They get the job done. They're usually this slot is usually here for cards that exist at level 0 and then get upgraded out of, or cards that just will eventually not really have the same impact in your deck and you are going to want to get rid of them. Or alternatively, the third secret version of these, which is that they're cards that that are really good in like one investigator and like narrow, like, but not like broken in that investigator. Speaking of strong cards that are used very rarely or in one investigator but are very good, that's what strong and narrowly used is for. These are cards that are very powerful, but are not really seen outside of one, maybe two investigators. So they're very good cards, but they're very narrowly used, so they kind of fall onto the lower half of this tier list. Good. Why is good between two strings? Exactly that. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because, like, say for example, boxing gloves. Boxing gloves is going to be strong but narrowly used. You're pretty much only using boxing gloves in Nat Cho unless you're trying some sort of random deck. But the reality is in that random deck, the other card is better, right? Like, it's kind of like Daisy and Old Book of Lore. Like, no one plays Old Book of Lore unless they're playing Daisy or Mandy Thompson. So it's one of those things where it's a strong card, but because it's used narrowly, it has a less of an impact on your collection, meaning that it falls into the lower half of the tier list. I would rather take a card for my collection generally that is good, as opposed to a card that is strong but is only used in one deck. Good cards are good cards. These are cards that are always going to be impactful. They'll usually last until scenario 8, and you're going to love drawing them. You're going to draw the card and say, ooh, that's good. Strong and universally used are cards that are exactly that. Very strong and universally used. You're going to find them all over the place. Compared to their counterparts over here, which are narrowly used, these are strong cards you're going to find in multiple decks, and they'll really work for your collection. But they're not played to the extent that a staple is. Well, you know what, Dejinson, you can make your own tier list if you want to do that, okay? You can make a channel, make a tier list, do what you want, and you can also just shut the fuck up as far as I'm concerned. All right, staple cards are cards that are exactly that. They're going to be everywhere in every deck, and you're going to have to find a reason not to play them. All right, boxing gloves. Starting off here, this one is the Nat Cho deck. I'm going to just put these, both this one and this one, into the strong and narrowly used. For the exact reason, the only time I ever see anyone but Nat Cho play boxing gloves is when someone is trying to, I like to say, kind of like have fun, or alternatively prove a point, where it's like, I can play this deck with boxing gloves, otherwise known as like the Bryn's Madhouse, where like he built the Ashcan Pete deck that plays boxing gloves, and it was one of those things that it's a Bryn Madhouse deck, right? Where it's kind of just seen if you could, as opposed to the question of, is this card actually the right card for this deck, or is it just like a fun joke idea that you're trying out? I say all of this with love because I love the people who build these wild decks, but if I'm looking at this specifically from an analytical standpoint, the boxing gloves are one of those cards that no one is playing this card, no one has brought this card to a game day, and unless they were Nat Cho. And it's one of those cards that you only bring out for Nat Cho, and it kind of unfortunately also leaves Nat Cho in a box, which is why I'm actually really excited for Tommy Muldoon in comparison to Nathaniel Cho, because Nathaniel Cho is always kind of the invent investigator, but because he has so many pieces in his own deck to make the events work, he's not really exploring outside of those events. While Tommy Muldoon, yes, is also very hyper-focused on firearms, hopefully continue to get more support in Chapter 2. They kind of have the precedent for that in the starting box, and hopefully they follow through on it. If they don't, we might be looking at a very similar issue with Nat Cho compared to Tommy Muldoon, but I'm hoping that is not the case, and they're aware of the fact that firearms should be a Guardian thing equally, if not more, than they are a rogue thing. On to Greta Wagner, the level 0 and the level 5. So I think I'm going to put the level 0 Greta Wagner, the level 3 version, not level 5. That'd be crazy. We're going to put the level 0 Greta Wagner in fine, and we're going to put the upgraded one, I think, in strong, universally used. So Greta Wagner. This is a very good ally. A lot of people play her. She's very expensive. The upgraded version is really nice. The level 0 version, the reason I'm putting that one in fine, if we just look at that for a second, I've seen people play her, like, she has like a lot of soak. She has the 5 like cost, so it's very expensive. But I think that ultimately, oh man, maybe like the extra activation is really good. Is level 0 Greta Wagner good? That's a question. I think she is. I'm going to put her in good instead. I'm going to move her up from fine into good. Because I think that you don't need to upgrade her. I think the upgraded version is really nice. Just like the extra soak. The book is actually very relevant for the Guardian class. The ability being able to activate another time. The ability to also be able to go and grab from a connecting location really pushes it over the edge. But I think the baseline, if you're looking for just some clue discovery and some fist boost, Greta Wagner 0 is actually going to do a very good job at getting the job, like getting that done for you. So it's a big consideration there that really makes it, I think, a good card as opposed to a fine card. But I think my initial instinct was wrong. We're going to push it up here. I think that Greta Wagner's biggest problem is that in the times, I think she's very good for solo play, right? I don't do a lot of solo play. I don't watch a lot of solo play. Most of my experience is either two-handed solo or multiplayer. Like 2, 3, 4 players, and people don't really bring Greta Wagner to those things, and I don't think it's because she's not good. I think it's just because I think Gurish really comes out for multiplayer. I think this is even kind of true for Beat Cop, less so for Guard Dog. I see people bring Guard Dog quite a bit, but Greta Wagner is kind of I think Gurish just is kind of eating the lunch of the high XP allies quite a bit, especially in multiplayer environments, because Gurish is so good in those multiplayer environments. So that's something that I think is kind of one of the things where it's I think she hasn't gotten less powerful, but I see her less, right? But I still think the card is strong and universally used, especially when she came out. A lot of people used Greta Wagner quite a bit. Hey, how's it going, Time Roller? And Astute, how's it going? Okay, Flesh Ward. I think Flesh Ward is fine. This is some damage soak here to kind of just like keep you alive. You can cancel a little bit of attacks. Works very well in Daniela Reyes, which is good because she's on the art. But I think as a whole, this card, I really only played it in Daniela, and it's good in her, and it's probably, if you look at Legacy, it's probably going to be good for her there, but like, I don't know. The card is like, I've never been upset when I've played it. I've never been upset when I've drawn it in the early scenarios, but if I'm drawing this on like 5 or 6, like scenario 5 or 6, I've made a mistake in my deck building, and I think that's, to me, kind of where fine is. I think it follows the trend of the Guardian cards of being very fair, right? And Guardian, they're rule followers, they're sticklers for that kind of thing. And I think it leads to their cards generally just falling into the kind of the too fair category, right? Like, again, and I think that ends up kind of bringing their power level down a little bit. Physical training. Remember when I said in the last video of these that I was excited to never talk about these cards again? Apparently they printed them again in this Nat Cho deck, and that is such, like, this is like a supreme space waster, right? Like, this card wastes so much space that it's kind of crazy. I'm upset that they printed it again. And you know what? They print the upgraded, so this is the level 4 version here. And this one is very good. This one is very good. Where is it? There it is. How good is it? I think, honestly, all of these deserve to be in the strong and universally used. They go in a lot of decks. They're super free once you get them out there. Javier Altman, 16 months of the Golden Table. Thank you for your support. Yeah, they're all, like, super free when you get them in play. And, like, they're expensive XP-wise, but they have a huge impact, right? They, I think, do a really good job once you put them into play. This one being able... Anyone that also has, like, has brain or foot is just nice to passively have because it gives you a lot of protection for the Mythos phase. Let's use the fist to get things done. I liked this in Zoe Samaras, and I like this in most as well. But yeah, this... I can't believe they printed this again, but this one is, I think, really nice. Relentless is another space waster. This is another one of those, like, meme cards that I see people, like, try to do something fun with it, but they do it with, like, the respect that this card deserves, which is like, I know that this card is asshole, but I want to see what I can do with that asshole, right? And you know what? I respect the hustle. But Relentless is just so slow. There's some fun stuff you can do with it with Mark Harrigan, right? But it is just not good. It's so, like, there's, like, actual, there's some actual, like, good economy in even actually this deck, and you don't really need Relentless to get in there. I understand the theory behind the card, but it's just, like, so slow. And it's just like, what are you gonna do with that money when it's done, right? And the answer is, like, nothing. You're not gonna do anything with it. Because it comes out so late. You don't need a big surge of resources commonly at the end of a scenario. You need it at the start of the scenario while you're getting set up. And that is doubly true for the Guardian class. Safeguard. Yo, I think this one's a staple. And the reason I say that is it comes out during every patron game day. Someone plays a Safeguard. You can be also rest assured that if I am playing a game with Daniel from Quick Learner, that guy's gonna play a Safeguard. And you know what's really funny? I don't play Safeguard. I don't fuck with that card. I don't know why. I just don't. Like Travis, like I think the card is very good, but for some reason, I just don't play Safeguard. I don't know how or why I just don't, but it's not on my radar, and I know the card's very good, but I'm just not fucking with it. I'll move myself. It builds character. When you take your own move actions, it makes you a better person, or what I tell myself to feel like I'm not an awful person. But card's obviously a staple. I think that I see more people play the level 0 version than the upgraded version, which I think is very fair, because of, I think like one move is most of the time on par with the multiple moves that the upgraded version gets you. So Safeguard, very good card. Get over here. And then the upgraded version. So this, some people watching might disagree with this, but I actually think this is a space waster. I actually don't like Get Over Here. I think it's too expensive for what it does. And like you're only really playing it with Nat Cho. Like I've never really seen someone else bring this. It is great aloof tech, but I think the level 0 version is still too expensive. And I think that something like Taunt is just a better space for this, right? The level 2 version is better. This being fast is nice. But I still think these cards are just, like, not the best. It's up to 2 locations away. I just don't see anybody play these cards, right? And if, like, nobody's playing these cards, like, are they actually good? The During Any Lightning Bolt window is very nice. If I had, like, a tier between good and fine that wasn't strong, narrowly used, I'd put that there. I think I'm going to put this card in fine as well. I think it fits the definition of what I talked about earlier, where it has like use cases, but those use cases aren't extremely common. So it's kind of like a tech card, and it's a tech card that is not good enough to be played on its own. So I'm going to put that one in fine. I don't like playing these cards. I usually cut them from Nat Cho. And if Nat Cho ain't playing them, who is? And the answer is really nobody. So I'm going to put that one in fine. Clean them out. Yeah, this card's also fine. I think it's an okay economy option. I think it's kind of insane how good Burning the Midnight Oil is in comparison to this card, and it really just shows you like the value of a basic investigate versus a basic fight. Like, obviously, in Nat Cho, this being worth 1 damage is really good. But outside of Nat Cho, you don't really bring it. I have brought it by... I have brought it into decks with investigators, but then cut it pretty quick. And I don't know if it was the right choice. It felt okay at the time, but I don't know if it was the actual, like, correct choice there. I do agree, Sneak By is better than this one. Sneak By is probably at least in good, right? Burning the Midnight Oil is in staple. It's crazy. I do think this needed something. Like, I feel like it could have been... I don't know. I think as if you try to tweak this card in any direction, it becomes, like, too good. Yeah, if it was, like, 3 resources in comparison, like, that's kind of crazy. Just an E-Cash that deals the damage is really good. You need to have an enemy that is there for it, though. Like, that's the difference as well, right? I think I'm going to put this in fine, though. It's playable, and, like, if someone brings it, I've seen people bring it as well to game days when they're not Nat Cho, and again, it's fine. It does okay. Counterpunch. Fast. Play after enemy attacks you, even if that attack was canceled. Fight. The attack targets the attacking enemy. This is a fine card as well. We're kind of really seeing the Nat Cho issue here, right? Like, where there's a lot of events that are really good in Nathaniel Cho, but kind of just fall apart when you are outside of that environment. And I think Counterpunch is an okay card. It's a survival knife event, right? But you don't get any stat boost, right? Like, they really should have given these cards stat boosts. Like, man, this doesn't actually even deal damage. I'm actually going to put this in Space Waster. This card doesn't even deal extra damage. I'm going to put this down in Space Waster. I thought the level 2 version brings in damage, right? Yeah, this one is a good card. Counterpunch is good. Like the upgraded Counterpunch, Counterpunch 2. I'm going to put Counterpunch 0 in Space Waster. Who's playing this card? Who's playing this card, right? And the answer is Thorn builds, right? But at the same time, are you as a player going to give up 2 of your delicate special deck slots for Counterpunch when you could just play, like, when you're already playing Survival Knife, which does a lot and is better than this card, right? Like, Survival Knife 0 is just a Counterpunch on a stick that you can use again and again and again and again and again. I think this card's actually pretty bad. And do you want to know why? Because I think that I had Nat Cho in my head. I was like, yeah, this always deals 2 damage. No, this just deals 1 damage. That card is bad. Good. This one, though, the upgraded one, this one is, like, legitimately good and is a great option for any fighter. Like, this can go in any fighter deck, the upgraded Counterpunch. I don't think people do because the effect is really boring, and a lot of players should be doing more, like, enemy awareness in their planning when they're playing and deck building, and looking at the power of what happens when you tell the enemies how it's going to work for you as opposed to them telling you how it's going to work for them. So, like, this is, like, changes the positioning of... When you have a card like this in your deck in your hand, it allows you to alter your perception on what a hunter enemy is and how you can position yourself accordingly in a way that's better for your turn as opposed to better for handling the enemy. And I think that this is an effect that's just good across the board. Dodge! So, I think... Chat, I think we need to use some sort of kind of metric for these cards that are reprinted from the core set or other sets. Because in theory, well, not in theory, in actuality, these cards are Space Wasters because I already have them, right? Unless they're cards like Vicious Blow where I want like 100 of them, right? Like I want like 100 Vicious Blows. I don't want 100 dodges. So I think what we need to do is we should look at these cards as the cards themselves. Is that fair? Like, how should we do this? Should we look at these cards as just Space Wasters, or should we look at them as the card individually? Because we're going to have the same problem with Tommy Muldoon as well, once we become into his deck for review and discussion. Card in a vacuum. Probably the card itself. Alright. Dodge is a good card. Now, what... if the Space Waster, if they're only from core. But then we have to put, like, the respect... Like, but then Vicious Blow is going to be different. Because then Vicious Blow I want, like, 100 copies of. In a perfect world, I'd want 8 copies of Vicious Blow in my collection. And to be honest, now I actually do have 8 copies of Vicious Blow in my collection. Yeah, I'm going to put this one in good. I'm going to look at them in a vacuum, just for people who, I don't know, for some reason bought the Nat Cho deck, but don't have the original core, which now could be a thing. Dodge, good card. This is a card that I think is underplayed. I think this card is actually pretty powerful. I don't know where I put this in the core ranking video, but it would be funny if it wasn't a different tier. But that's the power and magic of taking everything day by day and forgetting what happened 10 minutes ago, because it allows you to just form new opinions on the fly, and that's very fun and very exciting. This kind of falls into the same boat as Counterpunch, where again, if you change how enemies play, you become stronger because of that. Dynamite Blast 3. This is Dynamite Blast is a good card, and the upgraded version is also really good. So we're going to put that one in the good tier. Because it's good. I don't think it's strong or universally used. I think like Dynamite 0 is used more than the upgraded versions, and I think I understand why that is for like standalone play and even for campaign play, because the effects are actually pretty good as they are. You don't really need to make them stronger for it to be playable. They just become like more efficient, which you as a player can ask if that is worth the experience in your deck. I think most of the time for me, I do view it to be worth the experience, but I guess the question is it worth it to you? And I think for most people the answer is no, so I'm going to put it in the good because I don't think it's universally used, even though I do think the card is pretty strong. Evidence level 1. Can I be real with all you fuckers? Said lovingly. I think that this card is a space waster. Hey, thank you so much for the follow. I think this card wastes a lot of space. And the reason for that is I think that like the level 0 version is kind of just like good enough. And the level 1 version, while not bad, it tricks you. It tricks you. It makes you feel... It's like one of those things that like happens in like card games and like games where like you have to make decisions, and like when a card scales to a sense like, ooh, look at this, I can get like 2 experience. How's it going, Lucas? But I need to be able to kill an enemy with a certain number of health. And when it doesn't happen, you're like, okay, I guess I'm gonna play this evidence here, or you hold it back in your hand until the perfect moment. But then, like, you're giving up so much value in the actual, like, play to, like the actual moment. So it's one of those things where it's better to just have the level 0 version, put that 1 XP into something else, like maybe reliable, and then just, like, play your evidence on the first enemy and don't worry about, like, chasing the carrot. This is a card that will cause you as a player to chase the carrot when you should just, like, not chase the carrot. Just, like... stand there and eat dirt on the ground or something. Just take the level 0 version and play that instead. By the way, Lucas, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. Much appreciated. 27 months at the table. Galvanize. This card's fine. There's a deck I've played this. I've played this in like a Butterfly Swords Lily Chen deck, and it was a great time. It was a great time when I did. And I never really played it in opportunities out of that. I think like the card has use cases, but I think as a whole, they're just not common enough for this to be out of fine. But I think this is a fun card to build around or find places for it. Yeah, fun and big guns. Yeah, I think that it's a fine card. It'll get the job done. One second. There's a message from the CEO of Patreon, which I just needed to read because it sounded very ominous, but that motherfucker just clickbaited me. As they always do to get me to read. I'm like, no, I was like, I'll wait on this. And I was like, no, I use Patreon. I probably should at least skim through this to make sure he's not like, sorry guys, we're taking a bigger cut of your money each month. Speaking of, if you want to support me, you can do so by joining the Patreon. I would appreciate it. All right, Glory. I think this card is, I think it's strong and universally used. I don't think it's a staple. because I think that there's other forms of card draw. And I think that most of the time people find their card draw in other places, if in the Guardian class, but I think that Glory is very good for Guardians that are mono Guardian, or Guardians that, what am I trying to say? Guardians that have limited access to other classes, right? Like, so for example, Zoe Samaras, I'll probably take Glory over over using one of my Dunwich cards for card draw. Tommy Muldoon, like the original, the Guardian Survivor version, he needs card draw, so Glory works very well for him for that. Obviously, Nat Cho. I'd probably play a new Tommy, right? I think that Glory is very good for that. It's free, it's fast, it's 2 book if you don't need the card draws, so like it's never really dead. Card's just very strong. Lesson learned. Interesting. An interesting card. It reads really nice, but it plays really rough. And the reason, again, is that you need to have, like, stars align when the Seeker can just be like, I got my clues this way, you know? The icons are really good. I never really played this card because I tried to bring it out a few times and it never really impressed me. Because, again, you need the things to kind of just work out. Effects like this, again, they read very well, but then, like, in practice, they don't really do the thing that they say they do. I'm going to put this card in fine, though. I'm very curious to see how the Tommy Muldoon deck shapes up to this, because I think that this Nat Cho deck is very good when you're playing Nathaniel Cho, but then as soon as you try to take these cards outside of that deck, you're like, whoa, a lot of these cards were kind of just here to make him strong, you know? And I'm like, why do I care about this in yada, 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 right? So, and I think Lesson Learns, while not necessarily is that card, because I think this obviously sings in someone like old Daniela couldn't play it, right? But like Tommy Muldoon, old Tommy. Yeah, I don't know. I think this card is fine though. Lesson learned. It doesn't perform as you expect it to. Mono a mono. So I'm a big believer in mono a mono, but I think the card is also just fine. It's one of those things where, like, I just love the vibe of the card. I like feeling like I'm outsmarting the game. I really only bring it out in Marion and Nathaniel Cho, so really it's kind of in the places where it's at its best, right? And, you know, it's kind of really cool to see, like, these cards when you look at, like, Marion and Nathaniel Cho, because they're kind of cut from the same cloth. But the idea that Marion has a downside, like a restriction, I think that that'd be something I'd be very curious to see them continue to explore, is the idea where investigators have restrictions. I think that those restrictions can allow investigators to be stronger because of that. And I think that's very exciting because she can't play boxing gloves without some work for it. And I think that that is very interesting. So even though, like, mono a mono, I want to play for each of those investigators. I want to play them for different reasons. But mono a mono is just fine. It's just some damage if it does line up. And if it doesn't, well, then you kind of look like a fool, kind of like with this card and then this card. But I could bring it out in those decks, and I'm okay with it. And again, I might be rating this a bit higher just because I do like mono a mono. I don't know why, I just do. Monster Slayer, a 0-cost event. Fight this deck, deals +1 damage. This card is also just fine. Yikes. Oh, Nat Cho, we gotta talk. I actually didn't... I was coming into this being like, yeah, this is a great deck of cards. But it turns out it's not really that good. Nathaniel Cho is a very strong investigator, and you kind of just play his deck, but it doesn't really go outside of that. I'm curious to see how, if there are any other of these new Evergreen starter decks that are like that as why. Monster Slayer, the reason it's fine is because the card will do its job and you'll be okay and happy when you draw it in earlier scenarios, but you're probably, if you are playing it, going to want to cut it eventually. So, yeah. 1-2 Punch. Okay, now we're talking. So 1-2 Punch is a good card. The level 0 version is just a nice kill event, right? Like it deals 3 damage, which is the number you want to deal with events, right? Like that's generally where like you start going like, ooh, is this something? Like the unrestricted like events, like that's kind of where you want to like have it be. This does have multiple tests, which I think is a good way of balancing that extra damage in one card. Very nice ability. And then we have the upgraded version, which is, in my opinion, strong and universally used. This is kind of more from my own play pattern, because I don't see many people bring 1-2 Punch to multiple Guardians, at least on Patron game days. But I have played 1-2 Punch in pretty much any Guardian who can take it. I've played it even in, I brought it in Sister Mary, and she 1-2 punched the ghost in the Paris catacombs, right? Absolutely insanely powerful card. It deals, what is that, 5 damage? Like it deals 5 damage. This is really nice. And I think it just really sings. And it's very fun to play. And it's just very, very powerful. So yeah, great card. Stand Together. This is another staple. Yeah, obviously, I'll put the little thing on. If you're playing solo, this card does nothing, but why would you put this in a solo deck unless you're trying to do a April Fool's video as Carson Sinclair, right? Insane card. The value that this card brings is kind of crazy, and what it also allowed me as a player was to realize, hey, wait a minute, I should be playing Stand Together 3 in multiplayer because it also draws cards. It was a card that we, like, Travis Bird and I never really played back in the day. And looking back, I'm not sure why we did not play it. Like, I don't know the reason for that, but we definitely should have. But the level 0 version is just so good. Why is this and Clean Them Out in the same deck? Honestly, that is a good question. I understand why Clean Them Out's there, because it's more in line with the cycle of cards that Burning the Midnight Oil and Sneak By are in. But I mean, yeah, I guess like the econ for events is a very good reason for it's there, but I feel like this Stand Together is kind of that card in this cycle. So maybe it could have been a different economy card as well. Like that could have been interesting. Like maybe it could have been this bounty card that we're going to be talking about in a bit, because this card's gas. Level 3 Taunt. Engage any number of enemies. Deal 1 damage each enemy and draw a card. I think this card is fine. I was like, is this card good? Yeah, it's good in very specific cases, and I've seen it be very good in some cases. But overall, I think most people are bringing it for tech or just for an individual investigator. Fatality. And I think like the effect in and of itself is also kind of just fine. The damage and card draw is really good. But the question that always comes with these kind of cards is how much damage do you want to deal, and how many cards do you want to draw for it to be worth it? Very easy to do with swarming enemies. Like those guys just like fall apart to this card and you get so much value. But the reality is most of the time you're going to be drawing 1 or 2 cards, which is not bad, but not really like where you want a level 3 card to be, when you could just play like something else that might just help you win quicker, as opposed to like this cool flashy effect. But I think the card does have homes, and it's nice in those homes, but I think those homes are pretty narrow. Nadira, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. Much appreciated. Sorry if I said your username wrong. I might have butchered it. Overpower 2. I love this card. It's so good. I think that these are the effects that I miss most as as a player in Chapter 2. I think these cards were too powerful, though. I think, like, people might, like, there's some people who might think I'm crazy for saying that, but, like, this is a card that, to me, is too strong. And the fact that I miss it already when I'm building my Chapter 2 decks, just for the amount of consistency it brings my deck, is a sign that maybe that consistency shouldn't be so free, or it should be more limited to only, like, specific classes. It's a very strong card. Incredibly strong card. I'll play it forever in Legacy. I'll spend 4 experience. If I'm able to play 2 of them and my deck has a reason to play 2 of them, that's 8 of my experience in my deck, because it lets me find everything else quicker, cycle through my deck quicker, make it better and stronger, right? Insane cards. And then Vicious Blow, again, is another staple. Just more damage. Okay. That's the Nat Cho deck. And that only took us 40 minutes, and that was supposed to be the quick one. I have no shame in playing super OP cards. I also have no shame in playing really terrible things for the lulz. Amen. That's the way it should be. Play what you want to play. Play how you want to play it. Fuck yeah. Okay. Yeah, Nat Cho, overall, I mean, this is a good chunk of cards up here. There's a lot of fine. I'm very curious to see how I feel about this Tommy Muldoon deck. I also don't know these cards perfectly, so I am going to have to, like, read most of them. And this one is, again, speculative, right? This one is retrospective. This one is speculation. I've seen some of these cards in action. Just today on the channel, the video of Bryn playing Tommy Muldoon and Travis playing Carolyn and me playing Marie went live. So I've seen some of these cards in action, but overall, I'm kind of like thinking about how are these cards going to impact the card pool in the future, right? Like, where are they going to exist 10 years from now, right? Or in this case, 7 years from now for our good friend Nat Cho, right? All right, so first up, we got a reprint of the M1911. Uses 4 ammo as an action, spend 1 ammo, fight with your fist. You get +1 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. It's basically the 45 automatic, but a little bit cheaper. I think it is a good card. I think that it will do a good job. I'm going to talk to a video. I want to talk about the reprints, and I understand the theory behind reprinting the M1911 in this deck, but I don't know. It's complicated. It's a complicated thing to talk about. I think it's like healthy for the deck to have a weapon, but I guess I would rather it have been something else, but that's not the point of this video. But I think if we're looking at this card in a vacuum, M1911 is a good card. The upgraded version is it just the 45 automatic nor the retaliate keyword? Yeah, +2 fist. You learn to stand like 6 feet back so the guy doesn't hit you anymore. That's pretty good. I think that this one's going to be strong and universally used. Like, so far, seeing these cards in action, just bringing the 45 automatic down a cost is kind of huge. It really feels a lot better and healthier and stronger, and it means that, like, I think that the design team was very successful with their firearms design for this one, because the firearms are where I see, like, there's more play, like, right now more play in the firearms because melee weapons were brought down in Chapter 2, which I think is a huge success. Yeah, plus in Tommy you get 6 bullets. Yep, amen on that. And again, for people who might be thinking that this is all for Chapter 2, so we're talking about for Chapter 2 for these, specifically in that environment. Service Revolver. This one is survival knife, but the gun, right? 3 ammo. After enemy attacks you, spend 1 ammo, fight. This attack targets that enemy. You get +1 fist and deal +1 damage. So I think overall, this card is probably just fine. Because it's not really an option. it's not really an option later in the campaign. Can you imagine, like, trying to, like, fight a boss with this on, like, scenario 6? You know, and you're just like, can you please punch me like primordial beast, and I'll just take 2/2? And like, I think it's fine. Like, again, this is like, it feels like a worse survival knife. Oh, it definitely is a worse survival knife, but I think survival knife was too strong. We made a video about that where like survival knife was like, especially survival knife 2. Survival knife 0 is okay, but survival knife 2 was crazy strong. But this is an okay option. You're going to want to upgrade out of it, though. And I'm feeling like that's what Bryn is kind of already starting to do with his Tommy deck to where we are right now. But, yeah, I think that this card is going to pop up in places where it is valuable, again, in Thorns, right? But I think as a whole, it's... Unlike Survival Knife, you don't have an action to fight with it, so you need to find something else to do. But I guess like M1911 and Service Revolver each in one of your hand slots is not a bad way to go, but Service Revolver is worse than both versions of M1911, so it is a tier below. This big boy, the Thompson Submachine Gun, 6 ammo, 6 cost, 5 XP. As an action, spend 1 ammo, fight, you get +3 fists and deal +1 damage to this attack. As a reaction, after you resolve the above action ability, spend 1 ammo and fight. This attack deals +1 damage. +3 fist is pretty big. I think that this is just a good gun. I think this gun is just good. I think a lot of Guardians will enjoy playing this in Chapter 2. The +3 fist is really good. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. But as economy gets better and there's more ammo stuff that exists, this card is going to just continue to just like find homes for it. Yeah, I think it's just a good card. There's not too much to say about it. And like 3 damage for 2 ammo, especially if you get like ammo refilling stuff, is really nice. Tommy bringing this in at 7 with 8 ammo is pretty spicy. I wish it costed 5. I understand why it costs 6. Because like +3 fist is really good. Like 12 damage at +3 is really nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to keep that. I think it's just a good card. Yes, my man, Detective Sherman. 4 cost, 3 experience, 3/2 soak, +1 fist. Maybe assign damage and or horror dealt to other investigators' location. After damage is placed on Detective Sherman, exhaust him, discover one clue your location. Greta Wagner, you are here and you are wearing a yellow coat. I honestly am now vibing with this art so much. This guy is... It's so funny. His art is something else. In my headcanon, he's pushing that cop into the hail of bullets. I mean, I think he's good. I think he's a good card. Soak turning into clues. +1 fist is fine. At that cost, it's a bit expensive, especially with Logan Hastings existing. Like, Logan Hastings in the staple tier, but this guy is still playable and good. Yeah, like, just being able to turn damage into clues is really nice. And again, I know that, like I was talking about in this last one, damage into clues is basically lesson learned, and that's in fine. But this guy's on a body who's soaking for other people, so you're more likely to trigger it. It doesn't have to come just from enemies, and he's also giving you +1 fist, right? I think this is a very good evergreen ally for the Guardian class. I'm with you as well, Spirit Juice. Very, very true. Police Dog, level 0 and the level 1. So the level 0 is during an attack or investigation, exhausted, the performing investigator gets +1 skill value. And the dog at level 1 is, they get +2 skill value. I think that the level 0 version is fine. But I think the level 3 version, if I can have some speculation for the future, I think that Police Dog is a very strong card. I think that this card's numbers are kind of nuts. He's basically like Gurish. Without the soak, right? Without the soak, yes, I know that. But a lot of people are playing Gurish for the repeatable +2 test, like +2 to a test. And while Gurish can use on any test, this guy being limited to attacks or investigations makes him a little bit more narrow, so he can't really protect you. However, it turns out investigating and attacking are like the two most common tests that you make in this game. So he's going to trigger quite a bit. I think reasonably this guy could end up... I don't think he could be a staple, but I think he's close. Like, I think he's like barking on the door to go in there. Be interesting how this one turns out. Guessing many people feel like the ally slot is a deep cost at the moment. Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think that the Guardians, they're telling you, hey, Guardians, you're going to want a charisma. You're going to need a charisma in here ASAP. There are a lot of allies in the Guardian class. You can definitely see that Guardians are embracing the ally thing quite a bit. Rookie Cop. Maybe assign damage and or horror dealt to other investigators your location. When she is defeated, discover clue your location. Yeah, that's a good card. Beat Cop for, Guard Dog for clues. I think Rookie Cop's also good. That's a good card. Hey, Necrotoaster, 27 months at the Golden Table. Thank you for your support. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. I don't really have too much to say about Rookie Cop, to be honest. The text is just good. It's a Tetsuo. Like, Tetsuo is really good because he does tutor, right? But, like, having your soak just be also discovering you a clue, it's just a good card. That's just a good effect. And you'll also see it in more places than just, like, one deck, right? Like, this is the card that can be a level 0 card in a lot of decks. I'm very curious to see how much Logan Hastings eats for these space compared to other ways to find Fist Boost, right? I'm very curious to see how that comes in, because it's one of those things, if, like, Fist Boost is important, Logan Hastings is going to kind of eat a lot of lunches there. So I'm curious to see... if there are other ways for consistent Fist Boost to make it so that cards like Rookie Cop can be there, because it's going to be kind of hard to bring Rookie Cop and Logan Hastings to Scenario 1, especially because they're so expensive, to then also have, like because you kind of need the charisma. I don't know. I'm curious to see. Protective Vest. Let's drink some water. After you play Protective Vest, search the top 6 cards of your deck for a firearm or upgrade card and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. There's also an upgraded version that's level 4. It's now belong to the police. You have an additional hand slot, which can only be used to hold a firearm asset. And you now get to search the top 9, and it soaks for 3. Okay. So I'm going to put the upgraded police vest in strong and narrowly used. And I'm going to put the level 0 police vest in good. I saw Bryn play Protective Vest in his Tommy deck, and turns out it was good. Prepared for the Worst. It does search less than Prepared for the Worst, keep that in mind. But it also now can find an upgrade, which is really cool. But, like, a Prepared for the Worst that, like, also soaks for 2 for you in a slot that isn't really contested is a very nice effect. If you have any sort of, like... I think that, like, the Thorns Foundation is really good for Guardian here, and I'm curious to see how the design team continues to explore it. But... Yeah, I just think Protective Vest is just a good card. And the upgraded version, I think, is also strong, but it's going to be used more narrowly. You're not going to be doing this in every deck. A lot of decks are going to be happy leaving the level 0 version in their deck for the majority of it. It's kind of like the upgraded version is you're building around like a two-handed firearm and you want to hold something else. But like the level 0 version is just you want to like upgrade your decks around it. Just expensive. I mean, that's the Guardian class, guys. Like that is like we can't really talk about that. Like I mean, we can, but like the assets in the Guardian class, their whole thing is that they're expensive. If you look at them, there's only one that costs 2, right? Like the Guardian curve is higher now, right? Like that is just the reality of Chapter 2. Guardian curve is high. Do they have the economy to keep up with it? It's, you know what, I want to say it remains to be seen, but I mean, it remains to be seen on lower player counts. Bryn didn't really have an issue with money in the Tommy Muldoon deck in the scenarios that we've played, but I am very curious to see in the long term how they continue to get support for this kind of thing, right? Hey, Damn Next, thank you so much for 55 months with your Twitch Prime. Some Bezos bucks go a long way. Thank you. But yeah, I think it's a good card. Endurance. So the starting keyword is very, very, very interesting, isn't it? You may begin the game with 1 copy of a starting card in your opening hand. So after mulliganing, if you don't get it, you can search for it. How much better does... So it's kind of like permanent minus, right? How much better does that make these? Right now, I don't think the Guardian has the economy to play these cards. If you just, like, look at these right now, right? But I think as a whole, in the long term, I think that these cards are going to be pretty good. Like, the starting is essentially permanent minus, right? Which is not a bad thing, right? Like, consistency is really, really nice. Can I toss it on the mulligan and get it anyways? I think so. Real Games is saying no, but as far as I was aware, if it's not in your opening hand... See if we can... Is that in the Grimoire? Because I do think that will do... That will really help to figure this out. Sorry, ARKHAM Horror, Fantasy Flight Games. Alright, give me the Grimoire, please. Which I will say I was gonna, like, check out today, but it's basically just the rulebook. So that's not really super duper exciting. Do they have the starting keyword in here? Alright, after drawing their opening hand and taking a mulligan, but before shuffling any cards that may have been set aside during the step back into their deck, an investigator may search their deck for 1 copy of a card with this... What the fuck? No, I don't want to highlight this. Stop! But before shuffling... So no, if it's in your mulligan, you have to take it before shuffling. But if you have a second copy, yeah, but I wouldn't put 2 copies of Endurance in my deck. So stop it. Go away. No one likes you. But before mulliganing. Okay, I'm glad we checked that out. I'm going to go out on a limb here, though, and I'm going to be a little bit pessimistic, and I'm going to put this one in fine. I think that this card is going to have niche uses, but is not going to be really... Sorry, I don't want to save the Grimoire. I think that they're going to have really niche uses, but I think it's not going to be particularly exciting when it does. I think it's a fine card. Make 'em sing, brother. Simon Cowell to the American Idol auditioner. Parlay. Choose an enemy or location and test Fist X, where X is that enemy's remaining health. If you see it, automatically evade that enemy and discover one clue your location. Yeah, this card's fine. That's a fine card. I think you're going to want to upgrade out of it, but I think that's a fine effect for a level 0 deck. You probably want, like, that can... If it, I'll probably leave it, like... Oh, yeah, that's definitely a deep one. I think that this card is... It's a fine effect. Scenarios 1 to 3, I'll probably be happy with this, and then I'll probably want to get rid of it. I mean, like, this, in theory... I could be wrong about this card. You know what? Actually, let's take a second. Let's take a second. Let's take a second. We're going to put this one up here. We're going to speculate a bit. We're going to speculate a bit. Because I just realized something. This is breaking and entering. It's breaking and entering. And breaking and entering is a very good card. Yeah. Yeah, this one's just breaking. There's no entering here. That's for the not safe for work channel. That's where the entering happens. But yeah, this card is just breaking and entering, right? It evades an enemy, and it also discovers a clue. And most of the time, this is going to be like a 3 health enemy. Like, it's a bit tougher against bosses for sure. So like maybe it's going to just be good. But this card is just breaking and entering. And breaking and entering is a strong and universally used card, and I think that's going to be the same here. I think that it's one of those things where we as like players have kind of been tricked in the past by parlay, where it's like parlay is like so, it's like it's the not good janky ability that I don't really want to fuck with, but it's one of those things where this one actually is just breaking and entering. How much does the X stack combine with helping with breaking and entering? So breaking and entering, the combining is good. It's good, but keep in mind with breaking and entering, the evade doesn't happen unless you succeed by 2. So these two are kind of the same thing, right? Like it's kind of the same rate, where your value is going to be lower, but your you can succeed by any number for Make 'em Sing, right? Ro can afford breaking and entering, though. Yeah, but this is not for... this is not for right now. Like, this is not for the... This is a speculative thing for the future of these cards. I'm not looking at these cards just right now. I'm looking at these cards for where they're going to be in the future. So, like how this one was the retrospective, this one is like the speculation for the future, where there is years of more cards to support this, more economy, more stuff, and also I'm gonna be real. Again, I'm basing this just on the time that I played with, when I just saw Bryn play Tommy. Bryn was at like 8 resources for the majority of a scenario, right? I think that people might be overstating the economy issue, or they might just be bad. Like, it's one of those things that, yes, they're expensive, but I think that as a Guardian, and like, again, I'm curious to see how this works for like 2 and solo. I don't like solo, so it's not part of my thing, but in 2 players, I'm kind of curious, because it's going to be tighter there. There's less time to get clues, but as a Guardian, if you're fixing on your ability to kill enemies, when there's downtime, you can use that time to gain economy to make up for the fact that your deck's a little bit more expensive, right? Like, I understand that. I feel like it's one of those talking points that is just like, people have heard someone say that a Guardian can't afford these cards, but they're not actually putting it into practice. It's like one content creator said Guardian can't afford these cards. Now everybody down the line is saying the same thing, right? I think that yes, Guardian's curve is higher, but I think that Guardian already has some good tools to get things done, right? I mean, also I think the reality is that a lot of players, at this point now been playing with these cards for years, like with a full pool for years, and they don't know how possible it is for a smaller pool to get things done. But I've been there, and I know it is possible, right? Like, it just takes a little bit more work than just having it all grow on trees or just fall into your lap. But I do think that the Guardian no economy problem might be a little bit overstated than what it actually is. Especially because this card exists. Bounty! The quicker picker-upper. So Bounty is crack the case, but for a body. Zero cost event, fast play after an enemy location is defeated. Investigators your location gain a total of X resources distributed as you wish, where X is that enemy's printed health. So this is commonly going to be like an emergency cache. It's essentially going to be 3 resources that you're going to get, right? I've seen it as high as 4. I haven't seen a 5 yet, I don't think. I mean, maybe Bryn did. I think Bryn used it on the bear, if I remember correctly, or maybe the deer in Hemlock. But I think that this card's going to be a staple. I think this card is an easy kind of include in a lot of Guardian decks. Yeah, crack the case, very strong card. Easier to trigger, but this is a big burst of resources for the Guardian class. So I think that this is a easy staple. Custom grip. All right, so now I'm curious about this, because now we're going to start getting into firearm stuff, and I'm very curious to see how they play with this event stuff in comparison to Tommy Muldoon. Sorry, in comparison to Nathaniel Cho. There's been a lot of talking. My brain always works overtime in these videos. All right, custom grip. Fast. Pull during your turn, attached to a firearm asset you control. As a lightning bolt during your turn, except during an action, discard custom grip, return attached asset to your hand. You may play a firearm asset from your hand, paying its cost. So it's essentially a reload. Man, this card's fast. I think that this card's going to be played in every gun deck from now on out. I think that this card's also going to be played in Legacy. This list isn't about Legacy, but I think that this card is going to see a lot of play in Legacy as well. Being able to reload your guns is really strong. And the thing about Custom Grip is that it scales with your deck, right? So Custom Grip is secretly whatever experience level of the gun that it is attached to, right? So if it's attached to your M1911 level 0, it's a 0 experience card. If it's attached to your M1911 level 2, it's a 2 experience card. If it's attached to this Thompson submachine gun, it's a 5 experience card, right? It's a card that scales with your deck, which is a huge boon to a level 0 card. It's always relevant, always good. It's a crazy card. I was very impressed with it, seeing it in play once, and it's not going to get worse. Extended Barrel. Fast, pull during your turn, attached to a firearm asset you control. You get +1 skill value while attacking with attached asset. This is a 1 cost, 1 experience. Okay, I'm a sucker for reliable. I'm going to be real with all you. I really like reliable, and I really like more reliable. I think it's good. I think this is going to be seen in a lot of firearm decks. Oh, man, it's tough. I'm kind of like between these two, like fine and good. But like reliable is a very good card, right? Reliable, in my opinion, is strong and universally used. For me, it's a staple, right? And having more of that for your guns is really good. But the problem is it kind of changes the gun deck that you're bringing, right? Where this one is here for the payoff to like continuing to reload a gun, right? I'm going to put it in good. I really want to play well maintained in Legacy though with a lot of these gun cards. Shit's gonna pop off. Reliable gets a lot of distance. Oh yeah, no, this is definitely a worse reliable, right? Like, because it goes on less things. Reliable can go on like any item, right? Like 100% reliable is better. That's why reliable is strong. But like +1 skill value while attacking, right? Like, I think that it's not flashy, but like it's good, right? It's just like raw value for free. Like, it takes up a card slot, but so does everything else around it, right? So like just making it so that you can fight like with this M1911 that you reload forever at +3, right? Like, that is, if you keep reloading it, that's the 5 XP part of this, right? Like, you're essentially getting 2 XP out of it. So like that's where like the real power comes from. It just makes your weapons more quote unquote reliable, right? And I think that the extended barrel is going to be good because of that. I could see it dropping down and thing, but again, this is all speculative. And if the world hasn't blown up in 7 years and I'm still making content, hey, maybe we'll revisit this. Iron sights. It looked like long from far away. Fast play on your turn. Attached to a firearm asset you control as an action exhausted. You get +3 skill value the next time you fight using an attached asset this turn. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Can I be real? I don't get this card. I like the idea of putting iron sights on a shotgun, though. I think that's a funny little thing. I think it's just so slow. Like, I understand the idea behind it, because it's kind of like a slow jury rig. And jury rig is very good. But the problem with jury rig, in comparison to this, well, the problem for iron sights, rather, it's not a problem for jury rig, is that, this one is so slow. Like, I understand the use case for this. Like, you aim at the boss, and then you, like, take the boss out. But it's kind of like kookery then, in a way, right? I'll happily be wrong about this one, but I actually think this card is a space waster, in my opinion. Like, it being fast is good, right? So, like, the first one is free. I'm gonna put this one in Space Waster right now. A wild icon? That ain't a selling point for me, brother. Unfortunately not. That is not a selling point for me. But I'm happy to be proven wrong about this one, and maybe I'll see it in action and be like, wait a minute, this will go in a list video that was like, cards I was wrong about. But I'm going to put this one down in Space Waster. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. On the beat, baby. 2 cost, 1 experience, fast play when your turn begins. Until the end of your turn, you get +3 skill value while investigating or parlaying. I think this card is a good card. Yeah, the wow wow card. I love that. It's like one of those things where you don't actually fucking notice it until someone points it out to you, but it does say wow wow investigating or parlaying. I think that this effect is nice. It's, yeah, for quiet mythos phases, it's going to be very impactful. I think overall, though, the effect is not particularly, like, too powerful, but it is, like, convenient and nice to have. Icons are pretty good. 1 experience is nice for the cost. 2 cost is nice as well. I think the card is just good. The fast condition makes this a little tough. What do you mean, astute? I'm curious what you mean by that. Because I feel like you only play this card when you want to play this card, right? I mean, that's the case for most, because to me, this is just like, this card is like a bold card that you don't cost an action for, right? But I'm curious to see. I'll read your response once they're there. Physical Fitness, 2 cost, move. After this move, heal 2 damage. And then the upgraded version is now 2 experience and 1, and heals 3 damage. I'm a little bit torn on these ones. A shop pre-order for the next expansion release date for August 16th and the price of $45 US. That's the Children of Blood. For Kaispa, that's the Children of Blood there. Cool. 45 USD. That sounds about. How much is a regular expansion in USD? Because I only know Canadian. Yeah, the art is not that great for this one. It's not very dynamic. You're from Spain. Okay. I mean, this is pretty solid healing. What do you mean by regular expansion? Like an old school campaign expansion, yeah. I'm gonna put the levels. I don't want to think about these cards too much. Ah, there were turns where I wish I was a play only during your turn because I had to move first or gain resources. The resource one makes sense. Like, you need the resources for it to actually happen. That does make sense, Astute, in regards to the on the beat. Because, yeah, you don't know you're going to be in a peaceful turn unless you're actually already in it. I think the upgraded version is good healing. Like, being able to turn a move action into healing 3 damage is really nice. It's very curious to see the divide between horror and damage healing, right? Where the Seekers now has horror healing in their space. Guardian are leaning heavy onto the damage healing, and Survivor kind of lives in both of them. Mystics kind of are more... They're a little bit of both because of Marie, right? She kind of needs the damage, but the horror is also there for the healing. And then Rogues are kind of just like, get fucked, I guess. But that's a pretty big burst of healing damage that the Physical Fitness provides. So I think it is probably good. I'm curious to see what I think in 7 years, but right now I think it's okay. Restrained. Fast. Man, Guardian has a lot of fast events. Play after a non-elite enemy attacks you. Automatically evade the enemy. Attach restraint to it. Attached enemy cannot ready. When the round ends, if attached enemy is not humanoid, discard restrained. So some timing windows with this one. If the enemy is not humanoid, you still get an evasion out of it, right? Like, it's still going to be evaded for a turn. I think this card's probably good, right? I think this is also probably just a good card. This line is following the original core, like the core comparison for the revised in 2026 core, where it's the cards are just like good. Like, good is like the baseline, right? But yeah, for Restrained, I think this card is good. I think it's a good card. Maybe fine in the long term, right? Like, maybe it'll settle to fine down the road. But I think effects like this are powerful. Like, you used to pay XP for these kind of effects, right? Restraint seems insane to you. Yeah, I can see why it seems that way to you. It doesn't for me, but I definitely can see it. It has enemy control. I guess the question is, like, what enemies you want to leave behind. It's nice for Tommy, sir. It's not nice, sir. Nice for Nathaniel Cho to have a way to deal with his weakness that isn't just handcuffs, right? Restraint seems good for the Doom keyword. It does. No, like, I think restraint has a lot of good uses. But I could see it being up here or even down here in the long term. It really depends on the enemies that we get, right? Because there's a lot of enemies that... There's a lot of new stuff in the encounter cards that already are like going to punish you for leaving enemies around, right? And then also, like, for even bystanders, you actually don't want to leave them around because they suddenly can get lit on fucking fire. Like, bystanders are going to change their role from scenario to scenario when they appear for sure. But I'm very curious to see how that works in the future. But I think it's a good card. Stakeout, level 0 and level 3. Okay, let's read these. Stakeout. 2 cost, 0, investigate. You get +2 book. If you succeed, heal 1 horror. And then the level 3 version is investigate. You get +3 if you +3 book. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue your location and heal 2 horror. Okay, I think the level 0 version is probably just fine. The card with worse icons when you upgrade. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Albeit, they're just trying to tell you, don't commit the card, you dummy. Play the card. The upgraded version is +3 book. I'm not too impressed by these cards. Because I think as a guardian, I think I would want to just take On the Beat. And I don't know. I think both of these are just fine. I think there's going to be use cases for the level 3 version. Yeah, or just take Scene of the Crime, right? Just because Scene of the Crime is still here. I think there's going to be use cases, especially for this upgraded version. But overall, I think that I'm not too impressed by them. So I'm going to put it in the fine category. And why am I not impressed? It's just, like, it's not what Guardians need to spend their experience on. Like, I understand that's for solo play, but again, I'm sorry for all you solo players, but it's just not me. I don't think about that when I'm analyzing cards because I don't play the mode, I don't interact with the mode. If you want to have someone who talk about solo, I recommend Daniel, a quick learner. He plays solo, and he chats about solo, and he probably evaluates for solo. That's not my way, so I'm sorry if you are, but it's just not me. Stock ammo reload. Place 5 ammo, divide as you choose among firearm assets you control. That's a good reload card. That's just a nice, good card to reload stuff with. If you want your firearms to stay around, maybe because you have an extended barrel on them, stock ammo reload, that's the way to go. Just keep on reloading shit. Alright, adapt and overcome. Commit only to a skill test during attack or evasion. The pro investor ignores the alert and retaliate keywords for this test. I think this card is really nice. I am going to put that one in the fine tier, because I think that this card lives more as a tech card. Like, you're going to know when you want to bring this. Like, for example, if you're a legacy player, this is a really good card to bring as a fighter to the Forgotten Age. To just turn off the Harbinger, right? Like, that's a very, very nice thing. I like the composition on the art. I think the art for this one is really good. And I think it's because it's like... I think the ARKHAM art... I talked about this in the AMA. I think ARKHAM art is better when there is, like, a struggle right? Like, I don't think the pulpiness really, I don't think like the vibe really works unless there is some struggling, at least in my opinion. And adapt and overcome works for the card, but I think it also works for like the art. So like, I think this is a mood that's better for Arkham. Yeah, I think that this card, it doesn't replace itself. It's more of a niche card. You're gonna bring it into tech against certain things. I can't see me running this into like scenario 7 or 8, or in this case 4 or 5 even. Because it's one of those things where when I get to the final boss, I want to have a way that's better to deal with the damage and horror from Retaliate, and that's usually soaking or damage prevention or dodges, right? So it's going to be gone from this. However, with all that said, there might be a change to how these kind of fine cards are evaluated as we get deeper into the 3 and 5 scenario campaign meta, because that might change how these discussions happen. So I'm very curious about that. Armed to the Teeth. While committed to a test on an item asset you control, it gains Wild. I think that this card is also just fine. It's just a skill card. It's just number big. And number big can be really beneficial, but I don't really think I want to be playing this card into the final scenarios. I want to have scaling sorted in a way that I think is just like stronger and better. You're going to bring this for like the early scenarios, especially as like a gun deck as you're leveling up, and then you're going to cut it as you get upgrades that are more exciting and more impactful. Indomitable. If an enemy has attacked an investigator at this location this round, Indomitable gains Wild. I don't get this one. I don't get this one. I don't think I'm ever going to play this card. I'm going to put this one in the Space Waster, I think. Because it's like, I understand the idea is that you are supposed to provoke attacks during your turn. But like with the way I play, even in Thorn decks, mind you, like maybe like the difference is again Daniela. I'm not really I'm only really getting attacked in the enemy phase, in which case I don't really care about the Indomitable. Like maybe this will have some sort of value down the road, especially if we have more ways to trigger like getting attacked. But still, I don't think I'm going to play this card, so I think it's a Space Waster. Oh, we have a nice way to finish, which is the double Vicious Blow, which, as we both know, are 2 staples. Yes! Don't need to talk about these again, because I already did. They're just more damage, and that's really nice. Okay, so overall... Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the same number of fine cards, but 3 less Space Wasters, and the majority of the cards are living in the good tier, which is, again, kind of following the pacing and, like, the design... What's the word I'm trying to think for? I just talked for 90 minutes straight, and I'm, like, losing it. But kind of like the ethos of the design, which is like most of the cards now are just like good cards. I'm curious to see how right I am about some of these or how wrong I am about some of these, right? We took a few big shots here with Make 'Em Sing. And I'm very curious about Restrained, because I do agree with what chat was saying, how like it does seem very powerful and very impactful. Yeah, I think overall... it's a pretty healthy card pool, and I think it's less parasitic than the Nat Cho deck was. Top end's a little bit lighter, but I think this is, again, just kind of better where you want to be. Like, good cards are going to go the distance, And in all fairness, we didn't know a lot of these when we just came out. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Glory when I first started playing it, and now I'm like, yeah, I like Glory. So I'm curious to see how these all go once we have a bit of time to kind of digest them further. But with all that said, this is only the first of 4 more. We have 5 of these in total that we need to do. This is the first of 5 about these comparison videos. So we have Carolyn, we have Andre, we have Marie, and we have Miguel to still go. So if you want to see more of these, let me know in the comments, and we'll get to them. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, like, comment, and subscribe, all that usual stuff. If you want to go above and beyond, as I mentioned earlier, you can join the Patreon, which is down in the video description. Otherwise, thanks for watching, have a good one, and as always, a GG's.